Welcome to the Pet Loss Companion. I'm Ken Dolan-Del Vecchio here with my friend and co-author Nancy Saxton-Lopez. And this is a program that we do every Thursday live on YouTube. And it is a way for us to reach broader out into the my cat is all over me right now. To
The
reach more people
community.
than yeah, reach into the community, perhaps farther than we have been yet able to with our book, The Pet Loss Companion: Healing Advice from Family Therapists Who Lead Pet Loss Groups, which, by the way, is now an audio book. So you can get it as a paperback or as an audio book, and the links to get the book are in the description that's attached to this program. And also, we'd like you to know that most of what we do during our episodes is we read letters from people who share the stories of the loss of their beloved animal companion, usually quite a bit about their lives, how they're doing
Hmm.
now in the aftermath. And we're going to be sharing a story this evening.
Hmm.
And we'd like you to know that there's a number of ways that you can support our work. They're in the description. We'd also like you to know that this program is a friend of Dakin Humane Society in Springfield, Massachusetts, that offers a lot of resources beyond even shelter and adoption services. One of the resources they offer is a pet loss support meeting over Zoom that I facilitate on the second Tuesday of every month from
Hmm.
6 p.m. Eastern Time to 7:30 p.m. And it is cost free, and you can participate from any place in the world. And in fact, people do. And there's an RSVP link in the description as well. We'd like to ask you to subscribe and or to leave a thumbs up, leave a comment if you find this content helpful, because doing so alerts other people through the algorithm on YouTube that the program is helpful for people who
Hmm.
are grieving the loss of an animal companion. So please consider doing that if you haven't already. And also, we'd like you to know that we have an affiliate relationship with a company called Bereave. Bereave makes finely crafted granite memorial plaques that bear the image of your beloved animal companion
They're beautiful plaques.
and whatever text you might like to include as well. And if you purchase one of these plaques through the link in our description, we will get a little bit of the cost of your plaque as a gift of support to us for the program.
Hmm.
And so from there, Nancy, do you want to start? And I
Yeah.
also want to just say that Esme is very with me right now.
Active.
You're gonna see her.
There she is.
She is very much present, making her presence known. So if my camera bounces around a little bit,
That's
it's
Esme
it's
at her
because of
best.
Esme. Okay.
So I also want to echo with you that, if you do write to us, we look at writing your animal story and your story of that relationship is really cathartic. And so many people have told us that. And then to hear it is also very cathartic. So we appreciate, everyone who does write to us. And we do usually get back pretty quickly to everyone, but we also will like to share them. But that's your decision, right? If you would like us to share, please let us know. If you want to change anything, you can let us know too. Otherwise, we will be more than happy to share your story.
And one more thing, and that is that our friend Crystal Susie, who is a pet loss support professional,
Mm-hmm.
she is somebody who runs regular pet loss support groups, is having a couple of special events coming up. So go to her website. It is in the description that's attached to our program to learn more about what she's offering in the next several days to give some extra support during the holidays.
Yeah, because we all need it, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so this story is from Caitlyn about her JoJo. Um, Hi, Nancy and Ken. Your podcast has been helping me get through the days while grieving my beloved kitty. Thank you for what you are doing. I thought I'd share my story. When my husband and I moved into our current house, we came with two middle aged cats, Mickey and Tilda. I love that name. I had recently lost a soulmate cat before our move, which was a long and drawn out illness, and was still grieving her. And while we agreed we liked having a three cat household, I was not ready to replace her, so I decided to try fostering kittens. something I'd always wanted to do but never had the room to before. I fostered 4 kittens and ended up keeping one, a foster fail, a sweet and weird little tortie who we named Frances. Frances was used to having playmates, and while our older cats tolerated her, they were not the pals she was looking for. So we often toyed with the idea of getting another young cat as a companion for Frances, but also felt like having 4 cats was crossing a line into another realm of crazy cat people. Well, a friend of mine was considering adopting a cat from a rescue, and I ended up on their website looking at other cats, and I saw JoJo. I knew immediately that I was going to get that cat. It's happened to me before, seeing a picture of a cat and loving them instantly. And there's her photo. JoJo had a sad story. She was part of a TNR, that's Trap Neuter Release Project, but the rescue saw some hope for domesticity. I can't say that word. Domesticity.
Domesticity.
Thank you. And hers, so they didn't return her after spaying her. She still had a bit of feral cat in her, so didn't trust people very easily, so had been at the rescue for a while. She had already been adopted and returned because she wouldn't come out from under the bed. I assured the rescue I would give her the patience she needed and felt excited for a challenge ahead of me. I was lucky that my husband quickly agreed because he couldn't turn down another tortie girl as Frances's new companion. JoJo's entry into our family was slow but amazingly smooth. She did hide a lot at first, but she loved nothing more than getting pets. At first, she would only let you pet her if she was under a chair, but loved it, and was always running under there hoping you'd follow her. Eventually, that turned to just the floor of the guest room that she was staying at first. And soon enough, she then felt comfortable in the entire house. She was a sweet girl who never scratched or showed any animosity towards us, only love and desire for affection and food. She and Frances did indeed become the buddies we were hoping they would be. They loved to wrestle, groom each other, and eventually started cuddling and sleeping together. We couldn't believe our luck that this little impulsive addition to our family had worked out so perfectly. We even talked about how sad it would be when one of them died, since they were so bonded. Of course, we were thinking that would be happening many years in the future. And now I look back and feel like we jinxed ourselves by saying that. JoJo was opening up more and more, gradually becoming less scared of people other than my husband and I, and spending a lot of time around us. I keep a heating pad under my work desk to keep my feet warm, and she would cuddle up between my feet all day. She started sleeping on the foot of our bed. I started practicing lap sessions with her. She would sit on my lap, and she wasn't a fan of being picked up in general. But we got to the point where we had a routine that I would pick her up and she would sit on my lap and get some pets, then give me a kiss. We'd touch noses, and she would give her nose a quick lick after. It would only last less than a minute before she'd want to get down, but still felt like we were making progress. It was so rewarding to see her weird little personality blossoming, and I was so hopeful about what the future had in store for our relationship. About a week before Thanksgiving, she had diarrhea for several days. I thought it was probably nothing, but decided to take her to the vet anyways to be safe, since it seemed to be not resolving on its own. The vet examined her, and since she wasn't dehydrated or underweight, suggested we try a prescription food for her, but her gut biome to reset things with probiotics, etc. The first day we gave her the prescription food, she ate it all up, and I saw no other signs of diarrhea, so I thought we were all good. Thanksgiving week was busy, so I was a bit distracted, but soon noticed she wasn't eating much of the food. Thinking it was the prescription food she didn't like, I called the vet, and they gave me a couple of other options to try. She would eat a little at first, but then turn her nose up. By the weekend, I was desperate to get her just to eat, so I gave up on the prescription food and I offered her regular food. thinking that it would solve the issue. Sadly, it did not. I was shocked that she didn't want that either. The only thing I could get her to eat was a little poached chicken and churro.
I took her to the vet that Monday morning, the day after my husband left for a 3 week road work trip. She had lost weight and was dehydrated, so they decided to do some in house blood work. To my shock, the blood work results showed very bad kidney levels as well as some anemia. The vet suggested that she may have some congenital kidney problem or an infection or have ingested a toxin and suggested the best option for her would be to take her to an animal hospital to see if 24-hour fluids and antibiotics could help. This was going to cost a lot of money, but I quickly knew that if I did not do this, I would regret it forever, whatever her outcome. She was not even 2 years old, and I was not ready to lose her. I took her to the animal hospital, and she ended up spending 2 nights there. The first update I got was pretty devastating. They said she had tested positive for feline leukemia, which is a very contagious cat virus that all of my cats would likely now have. That was the moment things really fell apart for me. With my husband gone, my sweet baby in the hospital, and a house of other potentially sick cats, I felt like my world was crumbling. The test they had was a rapid test, and they were sending a PCR test for confirmation that would take a few days. But given her background and the other things they diagnosed her with, they were fairly certain she had feline leukemia. In their testing, they had concluded she had some form of kidney disease, either inflammatory bowel disease or lymphoma, and she was very anemic. The vet explained that even just one of those is a serious issue, so having all three was really not good. After the fluids did not lower her kidney levels at all, they said she was likely in end-stage kidney disease and had maybe 3 or 4 months to live. They suggested she be discharged with meds for treatment of her symptoms since she was otherwise stable and eating. I had visited JoJo the second night she was in the hospital, and she seemed pretty much like her old self. I was so reassured that she was happy, super excited to see me, purring, wanting pets, eating, and exploring the exam room. So when she was discharged, this is the JoJo I was expecting to bring home, just with the sad knowledge that we would have a very limited time left. However, that was not the case. When JoJo came home, she didn't seem super happy or excited. She just wanted to drink a bunch of water and go sleep on her toasty spot on the radiator cover. I figured she was just exhausted from being in the hospital and needed to sleep now that she was in a place she felt safe. However, on day 2, she refused to eat hardly anything, despite the appetite stimulant and anti-nausea meds the hospital sent me home with. Occasionally, she would eat a few pieces of chicken or a churro, but that was it. She was certainly not acting like herself, but had moments of brightness that gave me hope, like chirping at the birds outside the window with her tail flapping frantically. It seemed like everything I came It seemed like every time I came to the resolve that I should not continue to let her suffer, since there was no treatment to help her, I'd turn around and she would be doing something like licking herself contentedly in the sun. I called my vet to have the quality of life discussion. I knew what she was going to say, but still needed to hear it. My vet said that her take on it was to think about what brought her the very most joy in life before she got sick, and ask if she was able to still feel that joy now. Well, her number one joy was getting pets, and while she sometimes still seemed to mildly enjoy pets, she rarely purred and never rolled around and stretched out asking for more like she used to. Sometimes she just looked annoyed that I was smothering her and would get up and move. Her number two joy was Frances. She was mainly acting indifferent to Frances. Frances would try to initiate play, and JoJo would sort of wave her away, and they weren't sleeping or cuddling anymore. So those two things made me get the courage to make the call to end her suffering before it got any worse. I just hated seeing her sitting in that crouched position cats sit in while in pain, or hearing her little baby voice meows, asking me for something, but being totally unable to figure out what it was. I scheduled an in-home euthanasia for the following morning. That night, I got in bed and looked down at JoJo. She had taken to sleeping between my feet the last couple of nights, the closest she got to cuddling with me. And we had this really long moment of eye contact, longer than I can remember with any cat, that eventually ended with a happy, slow blink. I don't really think she knew her time was coming. I think she was just a little girl that felt very sick. But it also felt like she was staring into my soul. And my hope is that in that moment I was able to communicate to her how very much I loved her. Her passing went as well as it could. The vet was very kind and patient. She died with her little head resting in my hand on her favorite spot on the radiator in our sunroom. Francis came in and sat next to her after she passed. When the vet took her out of the house, I sat down on the couch and started sobbing, and Francis immediately got up and curled up on my lap. I had planned to go to a Christmas tree farm with my dad that afternoon, and even though it took everything I had to get me out of the house, I knew it would be good to go see another person that wasn't a veterinary professional, which was literally the only people I had interacted with in 6 days. At the farm, I got a call from the vet from the hospital, which threw me into a tailspin. He said JoJo's PCR test for feline leukemia was negative, and instead of my reaction being relief for my other cats, it was horror that I had already had JoJo put to sleep, and now it turns out she didn't even have feline leukemia. Well, the vet said it could be regressive feline leukemia, so your cats should still get tested to be safe. Even though I knew it was not logical, I could not help but feeling like I made the decision too soon. I knew that test result was coming. Why didn't I wait? But I have to remind myself that feline leukemia wasn't causing her suffering. It was a slew of other things they thought might be happening due to feline leukemia, but feline leukemia or not, they were happening regardless. But when grieving animals, I find that I'm almost desperate to find a way to blame myself. I want to emphasize this line, and
Yeah,
I used it
right.
as the title. But when grieving animals, I felt that I'm almost desperate to find a way to blame myself. Very powerful and
Yep.
very, very typical.
Hmm.
I think maybe because self-hatred and guilt seems easier to deal with than just pure, uncontrollable, brutal grief of losing someone you love. I don't really believe in heaven or the rainbow bridge, but in moments like these, I wish I did. It happened so quickly, I still feel somewhat in shock. Since I only had JoJo for 6 months, I thought it might be easier to grieve her than, say, a cat I'd had for 16 years. But so far, that's proving not to be the case. I loved her so dearly and felt like she was just getting started. I could feel our relationship growing and her turning into another soul mate cat for me. I'm just devastated that we did not get that chance. Feel free to share my story if you think it will be helpful to others. Just writing this out has been helpful to me. Best, Caitlyn.
Now, my belief, and yours too, Kat, is in her, even though it was only 6 months, how much energy and love and care did she put into JoJo from
Who,
the
yeah,
beginning?
who had a very rough beginning, was a feral cat.
Yeah.
We really don't know what might have become of her otherwise.
I
And
mean, that
so,
she, all of the time that she would wait and pet her under the chair, and then a little later, maybe in the guest bedroom, and then finally, all of that care and love and patience.
yeah, yeah.
That's a lot, and that's why I think, Caitlin, you feel as bad as maybe another cat that you'd had for longer.
Yeah, well, and it's so hard when you lose an animal that's young, that's that
Oh,
young, because
absolutely.
we feel like it's just so, it feels unjust
Hmm.
in a deep way. It feels like all of what we thought was ahead has just been taken away from
Right.
us. And and it feels like it's just very unfair. Esme is doing
Yeah.
crazy things to my
Esme's here.
laptop. It feels like it's unfair to the animal to have lived such a short life. So
Yeah.
there's so much of a wraparound of feelings of loss of the future and injustice that
Right.
typically are part of this kind of a loss.
Well, it isn't even, yes, she was young. Yes, she needed a full life, but she had gotten information that maybe JoJo could have lived a few months.
Yeah,
That didn't happen. She died in a few days,
yeah, and
right? So that also, I was thinking she had anticipatory grief, but then she had a shock, right?
yeah,
She had to make that decision.
yeah. She had to make that decision, and she had to put JoJo's needs ahead of her own wishes in a big way because she saw that she was in pain. And when she described the
Right.
crouch,
The crouch of the
I
cat.
could see that so clearly. I've seen that in my own cats, and you know that they're in pain when they have a certain kind of posture and when they are not themselves. They're not
Right.
behaving in a way that is consistent with their usual behavior. And it seemed to me that JoJo was withdrawing the
Yeah.
way an animal does
Right.
when it's dying.
Mm-hmm.
She was brushing off Francis. She was acknowledging that she was being pet, but it wasn't really
It
the
wasn't
way
it
it
wasn't
used to
making
be.
her feel good.
And so I think that she made the right call. And, that line again that I just will find, what did she write? When grieving animals, I find that I'm almost desperate to find a way
To
to
blame
blame
myself.
myself
Right.
because I think maybe self-hatred and guilt seems easier to deal with than just the pure, uncontrollable, brutal grief of
But it
losing
is
someone you love.
uncontrollable, right?
Yeah,
I
and
mean, and
that's the big
that's
thing.
yeah.
That's the thing. Like at
That we
least if I blame myself,
right.
I can hold the illusion that I had more control than I actually did. That I have some power over something of which I really have no power, and that is just we just don't want that. And
No, we hate
particularly
it.
when we are caring for somebody who we love, we take full responsibility,
Right.
and we feel like we failed in
Yeah.
delivering that responsibility. And it's human nature of people who are very conscientious and loving toward their dependents. And
Hmm.
and so that's but she stated it so
Yeah,
powerfully.
it
I
was
really
right,
appreciate that.
and that's what you named the
Yeah,
podcast with,
this
because it's
episode.
we do that. Everyone does that because they just can't believe that they did everything right and that their companion still dies.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a terrible feeling. And one of the things that loss and grief teach us is that there's so much that is well beyond both
Or
our understanding and our
right,
control. We make
right,
our best judgments in when it comes to things that we really don't fully understand,
right.
and we realize that this is outside of our control.
Yeah.
And we try to give them the gift of ending their suffering if at all possible. If it, sometimes the timing doesn't allow for that,
Well,
but
it's
it's a
also
gift.
interesting that there are so many issues that JoJo had, right? I mean, all of a sudden she had three different things going on medically with her.
Yeah.
I mean, kidneys and maybe the feline leukemia. I mean, there were so many things that, and I'm sure she was like, "What?" We didn't catch any of that, right?
Yeah.
But that was how quick it was.
All at
That was how
once.
quick it was.
Yeah.
The other thing I really liked was how that veterinarian helped her in a decision
Yeah.
in the context of what does JoJo love the most,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and what makes her happy. And that was really good, I think,
Yeah.
special. And I think veterinarians should ask that question,
Yeah.
help a pet parent
Really
answer those questions.
it really helped her focus
Yeah,
her concern and to make a decision that was really clear.
yeah.
And so, yeah, really good thinking. And so wonderful to have a veterinarian who has that kind of
Oh, she was on
humanity.
top of that,
Yeah,
right?
really has that kind of humanity because we hear stories about veterinarians who are
Yeah.
just not
They're not attuned to
they're
any of
not
that,
very connecting
unfortunately.
and they're not very empathic.
But that
Most
even
are.
with the quality of life scale, that is perfect, right?
Yeah.
You know your cat. What is her favorite thing?
Yeah.
Oh, she's not really enjoying that anymore.
Yeah.
Or the next step too, that oh she's wanted Francis, but she's not being with Francis anymore.
Yeah. And I don't know where I heard this, if it was in this on this podcast in our discussion, but I recently heard this statement, which is, when it comes to euthanasia, better a month early than a day too late.
Yeah, that saying's been around for a while.
Yeah, I hadn't heard it until just recently.
Yeah,
And it's I just think it really helps. And we've heard so many times that people say we tried to let them go when it was a good day, not when they were really struggling.
right.
It's not always possible.
No, it's not always possible. And
And
also, a lot of people are like, isn't there something else? Isn't there something else?
yeah,
Isn't there
yeah.
something else?
And
Because
I
it's
mean,
hard.
again, even saying that, it's not like there's not absolute rights and wrongs,
No.
not even close
No.
to that in this kind of a situation. But it's a good thing to know that, and the way I read that too is, once you know that they are not going to regain health, that
Right.
all that comes ahead is going to be downhill, is going to be suffering.
That's right.
Why allow that to happen?
Mm-hmm.
Why not ease them out and let them die in a way that
With
they're still
dignity
comfortable and it's
yes,
peaceful
and love. Right.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Exactly.
So we want to thank Caitlyn
Caitlyn.
very much for sending us her story and the
From
pictures
JoJo.
of JoJo and Francis.
Yeah.
And once again, well, thank you for the couple people who have given comments. Please do leave a comment or a thumbs up. That helps the algorithm get the program in front of other
Yes.
people. And we appreciate very much you being here. And have the best holiday season you can possibly have. I'm going to be traveling again for a couple of weeks. We're going to
We're going to do
recorded.
recordings.
We're
Okay,
gonna
so
get at
there
least
will
one
we will
recording
still
out.
be on, but not live.
But we may not be on for the Christmas and New Year's, because
Uh,
we'll see what we can get
yeah,
done.
that is Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah. So we wish
Thursdays.
you all the best.
Yes, please.